Hey, Fear with Half Dozen Customs. Back out here on the Jeep. Last night I got this back panel marked out. This is the new panel for this to replace this lovely aluminum that they have back there. We're actually gonna put metal back in. So I marked out we're gonna run it through the bead roller so that it matches the steps. It'll just be on a larger scale, but it should match the steps. So, and then if you can see, we got the edges marked out. Those will get folded over so that it's boxed. And then it'll get welded in here. They have, I don't know if you can see them, they have the old school like hammer style rivets in here, which I think are really cool. But those are gonna go. I'll grind off the heads, we'll get them knocked out, we'll take this piece out, and then once this piece is rolled and boxed, we'll put it in. And where these rivets were, I'll do some spot welds on the edge of the box. So it'll all be held in on the sides. The bottom, I don't know, I may pop a couple rivets in there, maybe, because it's an aluminum floor, so I can't weld along the bottom. It may just get, I think it's just going to get some seam seal action. I'll seam seal along both sides, inside and out. And that'll keep it from vibrating or moving around. So I'd rather not have like rivets protruding in any direction if I can help it. You know, what I may end up doing is popping a couple rivets in there, use the shortest rivets that I can, grind them up a little so that they're a little less noticeable, and then maybe when we seam seal it, we can seam seal right over the top of the rivets, so you don't see them. You know, who knows, we'll figure that out when we get to that point. But right now, so I got this side marked out. I did that last night off camera. Now we got to do the exact same markings on this side, because when you're running it through the English wheel and bead roller and everything, it's got to be double-sided. So yeah, we're gonna get this cleaned up and we'll get that marked out, and yeah, here we go. Just gonna wipe it down with some lacquer thinner just to get any, I've already wiped all the dust off of it last night when I was working on it, but they coat this metal in some kind of protectant or oil or something to keep it from rusting, and the marker don't like it, so just get this cleaned up and start laying out some marks. Okay, so I marked in a ½ inch marks all the way around. I'll put my straight edge along there and we'll mark those out. That ½ inch is the box that'll be folded over, ½ inch lip folded over all the way around. But it's also my reference for marking the next step, which is the inner box. So, and then once that inner box that'll be bead rolled is marked out, then I can take my measurements and put the 3 lines on the inside. Each step, each set of lines, each step that I'm doing, we measure off of that to find where the next line is going to go. So, and like I said, I based it off of the steps, so it should be the same as the steps, just on a larger scale. The 3 lines that are in the middle are the exact same 3 lines that are in the step, so that they match. You know, I really wish that I could have, the truck, the cab of the truck and the doors of the truck have those 3 lines, and that's why I put the 3 lines in there, so that it matched the rest of the truck. But the ones on the cab and on the door, I mean, they are on top of each other. There is maybe an 1/8 of an inch between each line. Unfortunately, my bead roller does not do that. They do have a set of dies out there that I could accomplish that look with it. Right now, I just don't have I don't have the resources to go get those. So I think that this will do just fine. It gets a point across of matching. I'll be happy with it. And my buddy seems to be happy with it. He seemed a little unsure at first, but once I put like the steps next to the doors and showed him like, hey, I'm trying to make it match the rest of the truck, he was like, I see what you're doing. So it's growing on him. Okay, now we got those marked out, and we can figure out what the next one is. Okay, what I did, so I gotta remeasure it. It's 2 inches. And where I came up with the 2 inches is that from this back edge of this step to this piece, it is 2 inches. So now, on the back side, this gets put up against the cab, so you'll be able to look in there, a little bit and see what's going on. And the inside of the bed, we're bed lining the inside of the bed. So it'll be a little harder to see this design once it's bed lined, but it'll still be there. It'll be, it'll be a 3D protrusion out of the bed liner. So you'll still see it, just probably not as well as if it was a painted surface. But it's adding strength into this back piece. So when you're driving or, sitting there idling or whatever, this thing's gonna have a pretty decent cam in it. So we shouldn't have any vibrations or rattling out of this back piece as if I was to just leave it a flat piece of metal. So buddy was like, you're not even gonna see it, just leave it alone. It's like it would just rattle like a tin can if we didn't put some kind of structure in it. That looks better. So yesterday I just used it's a Smarter Seal off of Amazon. Their soda can lids. Keeps these out of my drinks. But this is what I use to round the corners. Just kind of eyeballed it. I did the step, I used one of the bead dies to round the corner, but it's a much smaller area, so I used a smaller circle. This is a lot larger of an area, so I picked a bigger circle. Did you guys know, I use lacquer thinner to wipe my magic marker off. Did you know that even just cutting with the whiz wheel along your marker line, or if you get welds anywhere near your marker line, it will not come off. It makes it a permanent part of the metal. The only thing that I found that takes it off is sander or grinder. That heat just, I don't know, makes it absorb into the metal or something. If I remember correctly, it's 1.5 inches. Yes, it is. I have the panel that I made the steps off of sitting over there with all the measurements written on it so that I can copy it. I already did both steps. I haven't put the new step into the old step for the passenger side yet, but I have it made, ready to go. I'll be doing that here shortly. But I kept the top of the old piece that has all the lines marked out and all the measurements and everything on it. Because my Jeep that I have out there, which is just like this one, it doesn't have any of this stuff, so I'm gonna have to remake those steps, and I doubt I'll copy what I did here, because these are one of a kind. I'd rather leave them one of a kind, so I'll do something different on mine, but I kept them as a reference just to kind of go off of. So I'm hoping, thinking, talk to my buddy, all the leftover parts from this one that we're not using, I'm gonna purchase off of him to build mine. Now mine is not gonna be like this one. I'm not gonna take it to this level. I'm gonna make it'll be cool and it'll be nice, but it's probably gonna be more along the lines of rat rod-ish than it will be like a finished hot rod. One, mine is 4-wheel drive, so it's probably going to get lifted and put on some mall crawlers, and then I'll make patches and fix whatever I need to fix, but it'll probably just get tacked in place. no bondo, no grinding, no nothing. It'll go a flat black, and whatever patches I do will probably be left in bare metal to rust. Before I even make any patches or do anything like that, I'm planning on flat blacking the whole thing, and then I will do my repairs, and we will leave the repairs in bare metal so that they can rust. And then I'm gonna lift the thing sky high as I can go with it. I'd like to have to use a ladder to get in it. I've never built a lifted truck before, so this will be my first one, and I'm gonna go all out on it. So, and that one will be up for sale or for trade when I'm done with it. Who knows, the guy that owns this may end up wanting it. We'll see how good of a job I do. But I would really like, my wife grew up with a Chevy, mid-70s Chevy step-side pickup truck in the family. Black one. So she would like one of those to go along with her black Monte Carlo when we're done with it. So if I can build this Jeep and trade it for something like that, that would be cool. That is a ways down the road. I gotta finish this one first. So we got it all drawn out on this one. Got the 1/2-inch fold line going around. 2 inches in, 2 inches, 2 inches, 4 inches, 4 inches, 1.5 inches, 1.5 inches. So it's the same on both sides, or at least close enough to be able to run it through the English wheel and do my beads. So it does look like it's a hair off from my measurements for some odd reason, but checking the other side, it's the same. So how I managed to duplicate a small mistake. It looks like one side is 4 inches perfectly, one side is just about 1/8 under 4 inches, but it's the same on both sides. So I don't know how I managed to duplicate that, but I did. So I'm gonna roll with it. I'll leave it. Nobody will notice an 1/8 of an inch, especially by the time the beads get put in. So I think that's it for this right now. I'm gonna maybe see if I can get a hand later on this evening running it through the English wheel and the bead roller, and then boxing the ends. Well, earlier today we had finished marking out this rear panel. I still haven't gotten a hand to running it through the English wheel or the bead roller. So I'm gonna move on to pulling this back piece out. So let's see if we can figure out I think I just gotta grind 3 rivets on each side and it should come out, hopefully. And I left my safety glasses in the house. Be right back. Okay, found my safety glasses. Okay, so let's see how far can we reach. So there's these, and they're the old school hammer style. So those are cool, like aircraft rivets. I'm sure there's a certain term for them. But I know them as like aircraft rivets. And what it is that you have an air hammer. You have an air hammer like this, and it usually has a little ground down circle on the inside, or stamped circle, that fits the head of the rivet. And then usually use like a backer plate, a dolly, or sometimes there's a machine where it's all one piece. And when you squeeze this and it goes, it hammers that rivet flat. And holds it in place. So it's not like a regular rivet where you're squeezing it and it's pulling the pin through and expanding it. There is no pin through these. It uses the smash to hold it in place. So I'm gonna grind the back side off where it got smashed. And then we're probably gonna have to use a punch and a hammer to try and hammer them out. Now I can't get at them straight. I'm gonna have to get at them at an angle. Hopefully they come out fairly easy. But being that they're smashed and expanded in there, I don't expect them to just pop right out, but maybe they will. Ta-da! Okay, so these are those rivets, and you can see that they're kind of, ooh, they smash on an angle, and they, they're very soft aluminum, and they smash pretty easy. So, and inside of this bed is covered with them. The whole floor's been put in with them, and it'd actually be cool if I can see if I can find some, because there's a couple that are missing, especially along the back by the tailgate. They're all missing along the back by the tailgate, but there's one missing here, and it would be cool to be able to put them back, but what I'm probably just going to end up doing is just popping a regular rivet in it. It's all getting seam sealed and bed lined, so I'm just gonna so there's a weird bracket up here. I'm gonna remove that real quick, and then I'll grab my chair and we'll sit down. I gotta pop all these rivets out and get this this lip out. So packed in the hole of that rivet was nasty. That stunk bad. Whew. That is hot. So, I don't know if I videoed afterwards on this on this piece here. When I was finished welding it on the table, I wouldn't say that it was tin canning, but it didn't want to sit level. It was sitting one way or the other. Like, it had a pop to it. It would pop one way or the other, but would not sit level. And I worked on it for a couple hours trying to get that to go away. I did end up along this back piece where it mounts to this. I ended up putting a slight shrink in it. I used my shrinker, and I just went along it a couple of times and just kind of gradually put, I don't want to say a bow in it, but that's almost what I did. I just shrinked that back piece up, and that made it a lot better. It still had that, but it was 10 times better. So I ended up getting it mounted on the truck, and it's getting some bracing under here. This actually sits on an arm that comes out of the frame. On the frame there's an arm that comes out, and this step sits on it, so that if you step on this, you're not just stepping on this panel, you're stepping onto the frame. So I was just going to have that piece hold this in place where I wanted it. And as I was doing some more work on it and getting it cleaned up, I noticed that this front, the front of the step, that there's like a roll that goes along the top, this roll that goes along the top. As it went around this corner, it kind of swooped down this way and then met back up with the corner over here. And the way that it looked like it was supposed to be like that. Like it went fat and then got skinnier and it stayed skinny and then it went back to fat. It looked like it was supposed to be like that. The more I looked at it, I was like, I don't think that that's supposed to be like that. So while I was on the truck, I put my dolly behind here and I started hammering and I flattened out this whole front edge and brought this roll up to the top, even with the rest, and that went away. That whole pop from side to side was gone after that. So, you know, it took me a couple hours to figure out what it was, but I ended up getting it, so I didn't give up. So I'm hoping when it comes to the passenger side, hopefully it does not do that. I won't know until I strip it. I have it over there ready to strip. So we'll have to see what kind of condition that's in, if I have to do the exact same thing that I did to this one to that one. So I'm gonna be starting on that next after I get this piece off. Just use the old wood chisel to knock the heads off. So I grinded the bottom where the pin's at, and then I knocked the heads off, and I can come through and just knock them out. Most of them are ready to just fall out. All right, so we got everything off and cleaned up. It came out fairly easy, other than being covered in aluminum shavings and the stink that came out of those from, you know, it was an old farm truck, so, you know, who knows what it was packed with. But all the little holes for the rivets, they were packed with something stinky. So, but got it off, got it cleaned up. Now, you know, like I said, there's you know, about a ½ inch lip or so, maybe a little more, depending on which side of the line, or a little more, a little less, depending on what side of the line I put my bend on. That if I wanted to, I can come back. And there's already these holes here. Once I get this in and get tacked, I should be able to come up from the bottom with the drill and drill holes in there. And then I can come back along the top and we can put new pop rivets in. And I highly doubt, with there being a lip underneath here, being up against the back of the cab, you know, I highly doubt you're really gonna see it. You know, I would like to do something to hold this back here. So even if we just, like I said, it's getting seam sealed, so the seam sealer should hold it. But even if we just put, you know, 3 or 6, you know, maybe do the 2 ends and then do 2 towards the middle. You know, maybe we could do a small button style screw with a nut on the bottom, and Loctite it and crank it tight. You know, I would probably be happier with that than a rivet, as long as we Loctite them so that bolt never comes off. Or maybe we get a nylon nut for it. You know, I'd probably be a little happier with that being nutted and bolted instead of just a rivet. I like the way the rivets look from one side, but from the other side where it gets crushed from that pin going through, I don't like the way they look. And if you can see them, to me that's a no-go. So we'll have to figure something out, but it's cleaned up. You know, hopefully I measured everything right. You know, and this will go, like I said, there's a 1/2 inch lip that's got to be bent. So see that right there tells me we're gonna have to do something, because this aluminum, we need something to hold that aluminum to this. It's got to it from being used as a farm truck. From what I've heard, this thing it carried firewood everywhere. So, but yeah, this bed is bent down here on the bottom. This aluminum, it's just aluminum, it's soft. So, you know, it's got easy flex, but we're gonna have to do something to mount that aluminum to the bottom of this panel. Otherwise we got a big gap. But I think that'll look nice across there once we get it all bead rolled and crimped and stamped and bent. Cool. Yeah, we'll just I'll have to figure something out. Okay, so that wasn't too bad. That took about a half hour to take that out, clean that up. I'm gonna take a quick break and I'll be back. We're gonna start stripping that other step panel for the other side. Now, this one, I stripped all the bondo off of it before I moved forward and did anything else with it. Mainly just because I wanted to see how much bondo was on there. So this one, I'm probably only gonna clean like 2 inches around the whole outside, and then, you know, we'll clean up this lip and around the front and the back and sides and whatnot. But as far as stripping all the bondo off of the top here, I'm not gonna do it this time. We're just gonna clean up enough so that I can get to the metal. We'll draw a line around it with the magic marker, and we will cut that out. I'm not gonna go through stripping it. There's no need for it. I'm cutting it out. So that'll be next. So as you can see, I got this cleaned out. You know, we're probably, you know, 3/16 quarter inch thick. You know, it's pretty thick. It gets even thicker, I think, along the back here. You know, and in the middle, it's even thicker because it's bent and dished like this. So, so we got that cleaned up. Tomorrow I can come in and I'll take some rough estimates, measurements of where I made the cuts on that one. We will, you know, hopefully, like it looks like along the front for sure, you know, which is the main area because you can see that it was welded along the front here. I think we can get our cut in the same place. I would like to try and make a match, so I would like to get the cuts in the same place. But it all depends on really where their welds land because I want to get rid of their welds. I don't want to leave their welds there. So, so tomorrow we'll take some rough measurements and we'll get this thing marked out. We'll get it cut out. I am gonna end up replacing this back piece again. This one is in better shape than the other one. The other one had about a section about yay big that was replaced. This one did not have that. You can see this cutout here. This is actually from the factory. They had a box in here. I had explained to you guys how there is a bar that comes out of the frame that is part of the frame that, so when you step on this, you're not just stepping on sheet metal, you're stepping on the frame of the vehicle. And there, from the factory, there is a box that is under here that is part of this step that this actually slides onto the frame. Now you can see that, you know, they cut this out, they put a patch in here, that box is gone, but they still have the cutout for it here. Now, the driver's side that we already did not have that box. The box was gone. So, when I replaced that back piece of that metal, I did not put that notch in there because obviously the box that the frame would slide into is not here. Now, I am going to make a box along the bottom. My thoughts behind making that box is I am going to make the box long ways. I'm going to make the box long ways, and the box will actually sit on top of that frame. So before the box came in here, and you only had one section that you were really stepping onto that frame. Here and here, you were stepping on this panel. So you only had one section where you were actually stepping on the frame. So I'm thinking making the box long ways, this way, that'll sit on top of that frame. It'll get bolted up from the bottom. And then that way, if you're stepping on this side or this side, now this is gonna be a show vehicle. Hopefully nobody ever steps on this thing. But if you step on this side or this side, there is a frame structure underneath here that you are stepping on. You're not just stepping onto sheet metal. So at least that's my thoughts behind it. Now I am not going to design that piece of metal or know exactly what we are going to be doing until this bed is mounted back onto the frame and I can see how much room is between the bottom of this and that frame. You know, I may only have a half an inch in there. So, you know, it'll be a half-inch box going across. So I don't know until it gets mounted back on there. There wasn't something that I was thinking about or took measurements of before we pulled the bed off of the frame. So is what it is, kind of a step backwards because I got to reinstall the bed on the frame, get it all bolted down where it's got to go. Then we got to make this box. We got to make the box for the back panel that I made yesterday with the buck. There's going to be a box made for that. That'll bolt to the frame to the back, from the back, instead of having a hole through the middle like this. So, you know, there's still a little more planning and measuring and some customizing that we have to do. But tomorrow we'll get this cut out and we'll start working on getting the new piece installed tomorrow. So over the last couple days we got this all marked out. I finally got my helpy helper here to help me run it through the English wheel and then the bead roller. So let's get to rolling. So, I think we'll do the straight lines, and then, you know, we're gonna have to do the straight lines, and then I think, you know, yeah, we'll do this little line, but it's gonna just be a little squeaky back and forth, just a little bit here, just to give us a little bit of stretch, because it's a lot bigger than. I just don't want there to be a.
I just wanted to make sure I wasn't like, "Wah," into the camera.
Not yet.
Okay.
So, and this one is not going to be as much of a stretch.
Because it's just that step.
Right. Okay, so we ran it through the English wheel and we stretched it out going upwards. Now we're going to use the bead roller. I have the largest bead on the top the protruding bead, and then I have the middle indented bead on the bottom. It just gives you a little bit crisper. From what I've learned, it gives you a little bit crisper of a bead. Where if you use the two big beads, the bottom die and the upper die, it's kind of a soft bead. So I'm looking for more of that defined bead. So I switched out the bottom die to one smaller. So and we're gonna run it through here a few times in the center with the bead, and then we'll do the stepper on the outside. So, and then after that, we gotta try and bend these edges over. I don't have a brake big enough to do this, so this is gonna be fun to do. So this is the first time that I've gotten to use the table. Other than just a couple of little practice panels, but my practice panels were small. They were much easier to do. Okay, I'm pretty much going to where I'm touching the metal, which is about right there. I'm gonna go and do a half a turn over. I can see the dimple starting. So come towards me. Are you gonna be able to do both? Other way. Okay, back the other way.
You want to come over here and feed it? Switch.
Okay, go ahead.
And do another half turn. And we're gonna go back the other way.
What?
Smoke break.
Do you need me to hold that? You admitted defeat.
What are you doing to Scully?
Doink. Yep, yep, yep. That's not right.
What do you mean that's not right?
It's right, but it's the inside. And you'd be working the inside instead of the outside. Right? Right, that's an inside step, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's what we want.
Yeah, it's just reverse. Is that what you want, reverse?
I got the steps upside down.
I think you do too.
today I have the back panel that goes along the back of the bed by the cab. And we have to box it today. So, as you can see, I have it laid out here on the table. I have a clamp at both ends. And then I push it as flat as I could with my hand, and I tacked it to the table at each corner. Now these corners, they're getting cut out so that you can do the box. So that's why I put the tacks where I did, because I know that those areas are getting cut out. I'm sure I could have tacked it all the way along, and we could have ground it and cleaned it up. But I think the less grinding and cleaning that you have to do on a piece of metal, the better, because every time you do that, you're taking away material. So I put the tacks in the corners just to kind of reinsure that this thing is not gonna slide on me. I do not have a brake this long to break something that, you know, at this size. I've been wanting to go to Harbor Freight and get their, you know, I don't know, 42-inch brake or whatever it is that they have up there. 36-inch, I think it might be a 36-inch. Still, it isn't long enough to break this. I either need to go out and find a very large brake, maybe used on Marketplace or something, or find somebody who, you know, may be going out of business and pick up one of their brakes, or make my own. I've seen several videos on YouTube of people just making their own brakes. So the brakes that I'm seeing people make, they're like this one that's over here, which is just a couple pieces of angle iron. This is also from Harbor Freight. And it's just a couple pieces of angle iron that bends up and bends your thing. And people are getting some, you know, some really thick, heavy duty angle iron, and they're just making them super long. So that may be an option for me. You know, it'd probably be more in my price range. So, but anyways, back to the project at hand. So I have this clamped down. I know that my table is straight across, so we're gonna attempt to bend this metal over the edge of my table. Now I bend metal over the edge of my table all the time, but never at this length. So, you know, this is gonna be a first for me at this length. You know, of trying to make it a perfect clean bend. So I'm sure I've bent stuff this long over before, but you know, probably not something that mattered as much as this vehicle part does, because this is a part that is going to be seen. So how I'm gonna do it is I'm gonna use this. I'm gonna put my hand flat on the panel, holding the panel down to the table, and we're just gonna go along and we're gonna work our way down, and then we'll come back and we'll work our way down again, and we'll keep doing it until I get it bent over the table. The reason that I'm gonna use this compared to like my body hammer, like this. So this is, you know, it's a smaller area compared to this. We have a much bigger area, and I'm going to be kind of slapping with the long edge of it. And this, it's a lot easier to leave marks in the metal, like hammer marks with the edge. If you're not hitting it perfectly square flat, you know, and you're catching an edge at any point, it's gonna leave a hammer mark. Now, I'm not saying that this won't do the same thing, but you're not gonna have, you know, 40 hammer marks going down the edge of this metal. You know, we might end up with a couple, hopefully. So here we go. Let's let's hope I don't screw this up, because this panel wasn't the easiest to make. So I also measured, I made sure that my metal was sticking out from the edge of the table the same all the way along before we started doing this. So before I tacked it and clamped it. Okay, as you can see, we're starting to get the bend in it. So, and you never want to try and bend this thing over all at once. Take it slow, work it from one side to the other, and do it several times. If you're trying to do it all in one shot, you're going to end up with just all these wrinkles and stuff going down the panel. So put some gloves on. I'm getting close to the edge of the table. I'm smacking my fingers on the table. The reason that I'm kind of putting my hand here and holding it down to the table is because I have this bead that's fighting me. It's trying to push the metal up. And I want to keep the metal flat with the table as I'm bending this over, otherwise we're not going to end up with the straight edge. Okay, so that worked out great, nice and straight, not a whole bunch of hammer marks. Mostly no like crinkles going up into the part that you're actually going to see, because it wasn't getting hit too hard with the hammer. That slap hammer, or spoon as I call it, worked perfect. So now that was the easy side. Now we got to do the other side, and since we have an edge built up, it is now going to be holding this piece of metal off of the table. So we're not going to be flat on the table trying to make this next bend. So yeah, we should still be able to weld it on the corner, weld that corner to the table, because like I said, we're cutting them off. But you know, it's no longer going to be flat on the table like it is now. So it's going to be, we'll still get it done, but it's going to be a little trickier. So I'm going to cut my tacks first. So I'm thinking, so if I just tack the edge of this corner down where we just made our bend, there's nothing to keep the metal from moving, because you know our metal's not flat and tacked, and I was worried about it sliding this way or this way. Well, now that we have a bend in it, it can do this on the bed, so it's not really going to keep it straight if I put a tack there. So, you know, I don't like to do it. I don't like to put a mark where, you know, it's not where you're going to see it. It's actually where it's going to be getting welded into the bedside. You know, so we can do a little grind there, I guess, and, you know, one little tack hopefully shouldn't hurt nothing. I don't want the metal to move. That is the biggest thing is the metal moving. And it can happen, in a break. Like, especially like the one that I just showed you that's over on the workbench over there, that's from Harbor Freight, where it's just a piece of angle iron that bends up. All that holds that metal down to that thing is some clamps, and they're little clamps. You know, they're just little itty bitty clamps like this. I couldn't tell you how many times I've used that and had the metal move on me. It is quite aggravating when you're in the middle of making something and the metal moves. You know, that piece is pretty much trashed. And especially when it comes to something like this, where, you know, we've got a couple hours into, you know, bead rolling this and stamping this out, and you know, you definitely don't want to have the metal move on you with something like this. So I'm gonna push it down in the middle here. I'm gonna try and center it. There's a hole in the center-ish of the bedside that we're gonna be putting a tack in right here anyways, or a spot weld. Okay. And I don't have a clean spot there. I was just cleaning a spot on my table. So that I have some, you know, a clean spot to weld to, and I have nothing there. Whoa! I'm gonna loosen up my clamps again. If you notice, we got a little bit of a buckle here. I don't think we're gonna be able to do anything about that. Hopefully, well, I know for sure that when we hammer it down, it will, we'll get her straightened out as we're hammering. I did have a little bit of that in the first one. Just double checking my measurements since I undid my clamps to try and see if we can get this level out a little bit. But all right, so there we go. I got her clamped down. I got it welded to the table. We're gonna go along and start smacking again. Okay, slowly but surely. Arm's getting tired. When your arm's getting tired, just take a break, because if you're not hitting consistently, you know, you're not getting a consistent bend all the way across. So let's take a break, catch your breath, do a couple arm circles. Okay, once again, we're able to do it. Nice straight edge. I can't complain for not having a break. I mean, definitely a lot more work than as if we were to have a break. But still able to be done with just some simple hand tools and a metal top. Now you don't necessarily need a metal top. You know, if all you got is a plywood top, you know, you could do the same thing. And you know what I would do is I would use a drywall screw with some washers. And you could screw and make sure that the washer clamps down on the metal, like where I'm putting a tack. You know, you can't weld the wood, so where I'm putting a tack, I would, you know, run a screw down with the washer and make sure you got it good and tight so it don't move, and then use your clamps and you know, hammer it over the corner of the wood. The only thing that I would say is, you know, I guess be a little bit more cautious that, you know, if you're hitting it too hard, too fast, you know, you could be damaging the edge of the wood underneath the metal, which will show up in the metal. So, you know, I would just be more cautious if you're doing it over wood. But it can still be done. You know, you guys seen it in a couple videos ago. You know, I cut out a curved piece out of some wood and sanded it up and cleaned it, and you know, we bent a piece of metal over the wood. I mean, you know, it is possible to be done. You know, the harder the wood, the better. I'd just be, you know, be more cautious and be aware that, you know, wood can be damaged under that metal, which will then show up in the metal. So so I'm gonna cut my tacks now. Cutting on the table, not on the panel. Now, where I put those tacks, you're not going to see it. It gets folded over and it's going to get, you know, shoved into the bedside and spot welded in there. So, you know, after I ground them, you don't see them anymore, but Now remember, we still gotta bend these edges, which is gonna put strength here, and I still have to go through and I have to coin these edges, which should help. There's a bit of a pucker here from the beads being rolled in and the, you know, the step being rolled in there. And the coining, you know, it doesn't fix all of it, but it gets rid of some of it. You know, let's just hope, you know, let's hope this turns out, you know, as well as I hope. So now we gotta cut these corners out so that we can do this break, and this break will get done, and the box break we'll have to, you know, remove some teeth on there and stick this in there. So it's getting there. And you know, also, you know, when you get it, well, you know, when you're welding it in, you can, the only spot that I'm not going to be able to really make sure that it gets welded in straight is the top, because it's not getting welded into anything. But the sides and the bottom, you know, as long as I have it in the truck straight and it gets welded in straight, then most of this panel should be straight, and we, you know, we shouldn't have very noticeable, you know, I think just with me putting my hands here and making sure that, you know, things are kind of pushed down flat onto the table, you know, it looks pretty good to me. So yeah. Cut these corners out real quick. Okay, I'm gonna take a little break. Next step is we're gonna break these edges. I'm gonna get the brake set up and ready to do these edges. I'm gonna have the wife come out and just, you know, help. It's a big long piece. I'm sure I could break it by myself, but you know, if I have an extra hand holding the metal, since it's sticking so far out back, you know, past my shoulders and whatnot, you know, the more help, the less chance of getting the bend in the wrong spot or distorting the metal in any way that just doesn't need to be. So I shall return. I'm gonna get the brake set up, and I noticed the other day that it kind of brakes on one side more than the other. So there's some adjustments in there that can be made that I've never made straight out of the box. So I shall return.
What are you doing first?
We're gonna do that coining.
Okay.
You know, lift that metal up.
Sure.
On the other end.
Any reason why you're coining instead of bending first?
What's that?
Any reason why you want to coin instead of bend first?
Because I'm hoping that the coining is going to take out a little of the bow that's already in there and make it easier to bend.
Am I level? Am I good?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to coin these ends real quick before we put it in the brake, just in hopes that it'll help take a little bit of the bend out. And I'm going to start in the center. think that's pretty good. That's it. It's done and bent. I think I'm happy with it. Like I said, there is still a little bit of a wobble to it, but as we get it welded in the truck, we'll be able to make that go away. So the main thing is just making sure that the top edge along the top is straight, and I think we'll be good to go. So I think that's it for me. I think it's lunchtime. Hope you guys enjoyed the making of this. It's going to be a little while before I get it installed because we're going to redo the floor now that's been added to the project. So, got to do the floor before we can put this in. I'll catch you guys later. I'm out.